To install TypeScript, first thing that what we need to do is we need to install Node.js. To do that, let's go to the nodejs.org and let's download and install Node.js. So in the nodejs.org, we need to find the long-term support version of the Node.js. So for example, in this case, we are downloading that and installing it. I have already done that. So in my case, let's go to the command and check that indeed it's installed. So after downloading and installing, we are running Node version and it shows us the version of the Node.js that is installed. Also, we need to verify that the npm is installed. So npm indeed is also installed. What's the npm? npm is a Node package manager. So what it means is, let's say in your project, you are using different libraries, different tools and so on, and you need to install them into your project. To do that, we are using the npm package manager. So first thing that we are going to do with the package manager, we are going to install our TypeScript, right? TypeScript, and we need to install that not only for our project, but we also need that. We need to install that globally to use for other projects also, right? That's we are adding -g, which means that install TypeScript globally, and we are installing TypeScript. So we're installing a TypeScript. In my case, it's already installed. And again, we can go ahead and check the version of the TypeScript, and indeed, version 5.a is installed. So after installing in Node.js and after installing TypeScript, we need to choose the IDE that we are going to use. IDE that we are going to use in this case, we are using Visual Studio. I'm going to use a Visual Studio, so you can choose any IDE of your choice. So for example, in this case, to install the Visual Studio, we need to go to the code.visualstudio.com, and we need to find the Visual Studio for our operating system, Windows, Linux, or Mac. In my case, I have installed that already for Mac. After installing after choosing and installing our IDE, the next step for us is to go and start our project and configure our TypeScript. First, to do that, let's create a directory where we are going to store our TypeScript, right? So to do that, let's create a directory. Let's make a directory, and let's call it, for example, full course TypeScript, right? So let's call it full course TypeScript, and after that, so after creating our folder, let's open our Visual Studio, and in the Visual Studio, let's open our folder, right? So our folder in this case is a full course TypeScript. Let's open that, and after opening, the first thing that we need to do is we need to initialize our project, right? To do that, we need to go and we need to change the directory that we have just created. So let's change that directory and let's initialize our project. To do that, we are running TypeScript and the init initialize. So we are initializing, as you can see here, we have here TypeScript config JSON file is created. What it does is all our configuration, TypeScript related configuration, we are going to store in this file. So after configuring, after starting our project and configuring our TypeScript, now let's go ahead and create our first file. So to do that, what we do is let's just create a file with the name, for example, start, right? Start.typescript. And after creating the file, what we need to do is let's create our first function. So our first function, let's call it greet, and as you can see here, I'm using a copilot which already suggests me that what should be the function. Yeah, we can accept it. It's so it receives one parameter name, and the type of it is a string, so we can remove that, right? And what we are not returning, what we need to do is we need to in our console, we are going to log our whatever parameter whatever variable that we are receiving here, name and the hello, right? Hello, for example, let's say we are passing here greet and we are passing here world. So in that case, it's going to print for us hello world. So let's run it. How we can run our file? So in our case, what we need to do is we need to first compile our start TS file, right? Because all files that we are creating in the TypeScript, we need to compile them to the JavaScript. To do that, again, let's go to our command line. In our command line, what we are going to do is we are going to compile our file that we have created, right? So start and the TS, it will create for us. As you can see here, it has created start.js file. It compiled our TypeScript file to the JavaScript file, and after that what we can do is we can just go simply and run our file, right? Run our JavaScript file, and run our JavaScript file start.js, and so it runs our it runs our start.js. It runs our JavaScript file. But we can do simpler. What we can do is we can go ahead, instead of compiling and running every time, we can just go ahead and run that here. As you can see here, we can, if we are running from our IDE, it does the same. It just prints the hello world for us.